Hey guys, I have a pretty big haul today, back issue haul that I got from used bookstore. A lot of the issues I got have writing on the cover, whatever, but I don't know. I figured for like 25 cents a piece, it's not that big of a deal, and just nice to have them. They're ones that I can read as well. I kind of picked through ones that I actually wanted to read as well. So let's get started. First one is Secret Origins #2 from 1986, written by Len Wein. Pretty excited to read that. I'm a huge Blue Beetle fan, and that's super neat, that book there. Right. Oh yeah, the first bit here is all DC. There's more Marvel than there is DC, I'll tell you that much. Next is Aquaman Special #1 from 1988. Written by Gary Cohn and Dan Mishkin. Art by George Freeman and Mark Pacella. Yeah, I saw that and looked kind of neat. And it's a one-off old Aquaman story. I've never really read any old stuff, so figured I'd give it a shot. Next is Justice League International Special #2 from 1990, written by Joey Cavalieri and art by Joe Staton. Yeah, I saw Martian Manhunter on the cover, Blue Beetle and Huntress, and so I had to kind of pick this one up. I like all those characters quite a bit, so there's that one. Next up is Lobo's Back #1 from 1992, written by Keith Giffen and Alan Grant, art by Simon Bisley. I haven't really read a Lobo story solo. I mean, I've seen him in the cartoon, and I've seen him, in the books or whatever, the newer stuff, but this would be cool to see that story, how that goes. Alright, next up is Superboy Volume 1, #1 from 1994, written by Carl Kessel, art by Tom Grummett. Looked pretty interesting to me. It was, 25 cents, why not? And I also got the second issue of that series, from Volume 1, #2, again written by Carl Kessel and art by Tom Grummett. You guys can see these covers. Alright, almost done the DC here. This is a shitty copy of a New 52 book that I got. I just picked it up because I didn't have it yet. It's issue #22 of Batman, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. And also issue 24 of Batman, the 0-year stuff. That's issue 24. And they have writing on them. I don't really care, I'm just reading it. I'm going to pick up the trades for that anyway, but for 25 cents, it didn't matter. Also a extremely beat up and very well read copy of JSA Justice Be Done trade paperback. It is super raggedy. Like, it's like the plastics coming off is haggard. It must have come from a library or something. Anyway, that's alright though. Oh yeah, it did. It come from the library here. Anyway, now we're on to the Marvel books. So, the first one is Red Sonja Volume 1, #1 from 1983, written by Christy Marks and Roy Thomas, with art by Tony DeZuniga. I'm not pronouncing that correctly at all. No, that's fine. Next up is What If Volume 2, #83 in 1996, written by Ian Edgington and Mike Barron, art by Raphael Kanan. I really like these What If stories. They're interesting, and 25-cent bin stuff, always good. A little bit of Daredevil and Doctor Strange and Elektra in that one, so it'll be interesting. That Red Sonja actually didn't have any drawing over it. It wasn't from the 25-cent bin either. Next up, The New Mutants Volume 1, #100 from 1991, written by Fabian Nicieza and art by Rob Liefeld. I picked this up just so I could see Rob Liefeld's art myself, because I've heard so many funny stories about, like, arms coming out of the back, pretty much the way it looks, and just horrible work that he's done, so I'm excited to see that myself in a book. Plus it's you know, final issue, 100th issue, blah blah blah, whatever, and 25 cents. So next up is West Coast Avengers Volume 2, number 16, 1987, written by Steve Englehart and art by Al Milgrom. Tale of Two Kitties, that one. Looks interesting. Next up is, I actually got all 3 parts of this. It's Avengers Volume 3, number 72, written by Jeff Johns, art by Scott Collins. It's from the 2003 series, so I got issue 72, issue 73, and issue 74, which are all part of the Search for She-Hulk storyline. I saw a full storyline, so I picked it up. I haven't really read older Avengers stuff. Figured I'd give it a shot and see what that's like, you know? It's a good way to do it for, you know, they're $2 books, so well, not even. They were $1 each. Next up is part 1 of 5 of the Blood Ties in the Avengers Volume 1, number 368. Written by Bob Harris, art by Steve Epting. I have part 2, 4, and 5, I think. So I mean, slowly whenever I find them, I pick them up. I want to read this stupid storyline. So anyway, next up is Silver Surfer Volume 3, number 2 from 1987. Written by Steve Englehart and art by Marshall Rogers. Yeah, it's looks alright. Getting the new Silver Surfer comic that's coming out, so I don't know, I just kind of picked it up. This is Silver Surfer Volume 3, number 1, 97, written by J.M. DeMatteis and art by Ron Garney. Yeah, I haven't, again, I just want to kind of check out a couple Silver Surfer books. They were 25 cents each, so just to see what it's all about, what it's actually like to read his kind of stuff. And there's Galactus and whatnot in this one, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Next up is Spider-Man and X-Factor Shadow Games, Volume 1, number 1, 94, written by Kurt Busiek and art by Pat Broderick. It's a part 1 of 3. I figure I'll just get the other ones somewhere else down the line. Just something to read. Next up is X-Force Volume 1, number 15, 1992, written by Fabian Nicieza and art by Chris Eliapoulos. I'm horrible at these names. Anyway, yeah, I had Deadpool on the cover and Cable fighting, so I thought that was neat. Next up is Archangel in Phantom Wings from 1996, written by Peter Milligan, art by Leonardo Manco. I always liked Archangel. He's an interesting character, and I didn't know he had, I don't know if it's his own book or just like a one-shot thing or whatever it is, but interested to check it out. I like this character. Another one of those great 90s books, Bishop Volume 1, number 1, 94, written by John Ostrander, art by Carlos Pacheco. Yeah, I like Bishop. He's a cool character. So it's neat to read a little story about him, see what's going down. Next up is Classic X-Men Volume 1, number 42, 1989, written by Chris Claremont. The first part's art is by John Byrne, second part by Mike Collins. The second part's like a Cyclops mini thing about his childhood or whatever, and Mr. Sinister and all that. The first part's part of the Dark Phoenix saga, so again, it's all written on, so 25 cents. It just says like $1 on it. I don't know why people... Anyway. Next is Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, number 216, 1987. Again, Chris Claremont, art by Jackson Guise and Dan Green. I like that Storm on the cover with that nice, like, she looks badass. Anyway. Next is Uncanny X-Men, number 226, from Volume 1. Go. part of the Follow the Mutant storyline there. Next is Uncanny X-Men number 300. Written by Scott Lobdell, art by John Romita Jr. So after Claremont stuff. I like this cover. It's shiny. A lot of people don't, I don't know. Yeah, I know it's a stupid 90s thing, but I don't know. It just feels like you have a special copy of it or something. I mean, I know it's kind of corny and stupid, but whatever. Uncanny X-Men number 302. Again, Scott Lobdell, John Romita Jr. Colossus situation on the front there. Man, their stuff just isn't... Anyway, art's just not as good on that, I don't think. Anyway, I think the next ones are just some of the oversized ones I got. They're a little bit bigger issues or whatever. Some of those 90s ones that must have started in the 90s and probably finished that same year. 2099 AD, Volume 1, Number 1, 95, written by Terry Cavan, art by Mark Campos. This cover is done by Joe Quesada, though. So, it's kind of cool that this piece flips back and then you see the background, like one of those things. Anyway, I think it's all part of the 2099 thing. Next one's 2099 Unlimited, Volume 1, Number 1. Written by Evan Skolnick and art by Chris Wozniak. It says premiere of Hulk 2099, so I'm curious if this is like his first appearance or whatever. If anyone knows, let me know. I haven't really read a lot of Spider-Man 2099 stuff or any of that, but maybe it's worth a try. This next one I thought was neat. Saw it there and I don't know, it just looked interesting. It's Excalibur, The Sword is Drawn, from 1988, written by Chris Claremont, art by Alan Davis. I've heard of Excalibur before. I didn't know that that Claremont did it, and I don't know. It looks pretty cool. It's got some Nightcrawler on the front there. Looks like Dupe maybe in the bottom. Kind of. I've seen a bunch of weird people I've never seen before. Captain Britain, I think, is on there. Anyway, it looks neat to me. I'll check it out. It looks like it's like almost like a mini trade paperback type thing. It's pretty thick. I don't know if you can see the thickness there. I don't know if you can tell. Anyway, next up is another one of those like mini trades. The Punisher, No Escape, from 1990, written by Gregory Wright, art by Todd Smith. And written all over the cover again, but for me it is more about the story. If it's something I really, really like, then I can always go buy another copy, a better version of it, right? But in the meantime, as the collection looks, you know, gives me something to read. That's what it's all about. The next ones here is 6 books in the same series. I had never heard, I didn't know that this series existed. And if I did, I would have been picking it up a long time ago, because it's one of my favorite childhood TV shows in comic form. Yeah, I've had some good laughs watching the show before. So, it's Alf, Volume 1, number 5, written by Michael Gallagher, art by Dave Manek. Oh, Alf, so silly. No problem, Harry's housebroken. That just makes me laugh. Alf, number 12. If anyone knows where to find the rest of the series or better copies of this, because this is one I actually want to collect. I know it's super lame probably to most people, but I loved this show, and I don't know, it would mean a lot to me if I could find, you know, this whole series. Number 15.